The next reader is Pat Frisella.
First of all, I'd like to thank Bob Moore for putting this all together. It's hard on a Saturday. People have lots of things tugging at their sleeves. I'm going to read 4 poems, and you can clap at the end, please. The first 2 that I'm going to read are coming out in an anthology called Liberation Poetry. It's going to be published by Trilingual Press out of Cambridge, Mass. The editors are Tontangi, who is a Haitian poet, and Jill Nachinsky, who I don't really know. But anyway, I'm very pleased. I am pleased also with my location in the book. I'm between Martin Espada and Reggie O'Hare Gibson. And it's only because of the alphabet. The book is alphabetical. Okay. This first poem is called Dedicated to Robert Jolin, who was a French ethnologist. And most of the poems are sort of about language. I stand on this dune, casting a long shadow, surrounded by a sea of silent sand, with the singers and poets gathered, the Sami Tuareg, the Lombards, the Kurds, Walloons, and Cantonese. Here we will speak and rebuild the Tower of Being, to stand against their civilizing machines. If I wear a checked keffiyeh, they will call me enemy. If I wear their flag, made in another country, they will call me friend. But do not love me, for I am unreliable and refuse to support the little colonists, the church of the one God, commerce, and armies of conquest, unified national identities. Toppled statues and stolen art, kidnapped children and silenced tongues, the only witness left is the wind, whistling through empty rooms and erasing mute glyphs and graphemes. Their white peace comes robed in garments of progress. They chant, lose, choose, or be doomed. The loom of language is being dismantled somewhere in the golden desert. West of the Nile, the Berbers travel freely on white camels, like jinn in a mirage of heat and sand. They trade in tamudit, tamjunt, and tezuit, goat butter, buttons, and honeybees. Far away, Professor Fell translated petroglyphs in Canada into a tale of Woden Lithi, writ in a language like Tifinagh and Ogham, runes of the old Celts and Tuareg. Is he a diffusionist moonbat? I don't know. I don't speak French. But in the land of salt and indigo, we will rebuild the ziggurat of Gilgamesh. Thank you to poets. The next one is called The Fallen Statue at Karnak, and it sort of was inspired by Shelley's Ozymandias. There is a fallen statue in Karnak, and it has none of the details that are mentioned in Shelley's sonnet, other than it is fallen and was a statue. A sacrifice of most distant effect, your conflicts. I see the branching blood rising, bonfires on mountains, the poor world losing its wounds, anguish in the face of warriors at the sight of anger's decline. Memories of earth, frail as butterflies, laws that govern the flight of figs, the descent of man, flax and ferns pressed and forgotten in the fox leaves of a book with a cocked spine and frayed edges. Where are the pages of enlightenment? Estranged as the eyes in your head, always together yet never to meet, some amphibian branch breaks loose, floats free of that algaed heart. Every day a net is dropped, all the water of the world pours through, and yet there is none for you to drink. Lights that yearn to burn illuminate my tunnel. I hear the willows weeping, the flight of bees, know the blaze of the hooded grasshopper in India, where a price has been placed on the heads of water and salt, and the word for looting is looting. Tell the English to come back and take their language with them. I am retreating to the 18 Gaelic letters, the 16 runes of divination, the shoulder blades of oracle bones. Do not interrupt this keening with jackhammers of hate. Do not interrupt with your petty wars of justice. Keep your justice. Keep your tanks of heredity, your guns of desire, your planes of goodwill. Leave his body. His clenched hands hold all that is worthy, a few strands of hair, a locket, some grass, a feathered quill. Give me 9 poles topped with yak tails, gold lilies, and the glitter and silver loneliness of the moon, the green meadows of consolation, the sighs of lost rivers. The next poem I'm going to read is by one of my favorite poets, Ilya Kaminsky. You may be familiar with it. You may be familiar with him. He's an awesome poet and an awesome person. Anyway, here we go. If I speak for the dead, I must leave this animal of my body. I must write the same poem over and over, for an empty page is the white flag of their surrender. If I speak for them, I must walk on the edge of myself. I must live as a blind man who runs through rooms without touching the furniture. Yes, I live. I can cross the streets asking, what year is it? I can dance in my sleep and laugh in front of the mirror. Even sleep is a prayer, Lord. I will praise your madness, and in a language not mine, speak of music that wakes us, music in which we move. For whatever I say is a kind of petition, and the darkest days must I praise. One more, a little piece. Bob asked me if I'd like to bring some copies of The Other Side of Sorrow, which is a book we put out, the Poetry Society of New Hampshire, a number of years ago. It's poets speak out about conflict, war, and peace. Many of the poets you have heard and will hear here today have poems in here, and we still have copies, so if you would like one, meet me in back. They're $16. I've seen them online for as much as $150, which is insane. What's that about? But anyway, this poem that I'm going to close with is called The Coolin. This is actually only a fragment. I only paid for 2 poems, and this was one of them. He was a Scottish poet, wrote years ago. And The Coolin is a mountain in Scotland, and it's the closing poem in the book. Beyond the locks of the blood of the children of men, beyond the frailty of the plain and the labor of the mountain, beyond poverty, consumption, fever, agony, beyond hardship, wrong, tyranny, distress, beyond misery, despair, hatred, treachery, beyond guilt and defilement, watchful, heroic, the Coolin is seen rising on the other side of sorrow. Thank you.